All right, guys. We talked about making a platform for my stove to sit on so that if I'm parked and it's just a little bit off level or whatever, because I tell you, it's almost impossible to get this level when it comes to uh, camping. And you're trying to cook on a stove, like I am, because I've got my shelving mounted to the bus. The skillets are just a little bit off and the grease runs to one side in it. So I don't care if I've got those blocks that you pull up on or whatever to try to level your steel. Boy, it's an ordeal to try to get it perfectly level. So I told you I was going to try to come up with something that I could use to level my table before uh, I started cooking. Okay, now I'm sure there's stuff out there already. I'm reinventing the wheel probably, but I believe if I've got the stuff to do it with, I'm not going to go spend money. And I've got every bit of this stuff laying out there in the shop. The only thing I had to go buy is I did not have these little old wing nuts here. Okay, so but I had these 5/8 eye bolts here, and I had all the washers for it. This is a piece of metal that I said a friend of mine gave me with me. He had a bunch of old air conditioner stuff that he hauled off, and he let me pick out 10 or 12 pieces of metal that I'd like to have that he thought I might be able to use in the future. And this is a piece of it. This is a panel off of an air conditioning unit. So I'm going to use this. I'm going to use these as my legs. So to build this, you're going to need 4 eye bolts, and I'm using 5/8 eye bolts. You can make the legs as long as you want. You can get them in different lengths, 3-inch, 4-inch, whatever. Okay. You're going to need 8 washers, because I'm going to have a washer on top, washer on the bottom. Like I said, you're going to need a piece of metal. You're going to need a speed square, probably, or a carpenter square. This is called a carpenter square. Speed square is a smaller one. Most likely a tape measure. You're going to need a drill. You're going to need a drill bit the size, a little bit bigger than whatever eye bolt you're going to use. Okay. Now, if your piece of metal is not the 2 size, you're obviously going to need something that can cut that metal. I'm using a side grinder here to cut it, and then I'm going to paint it black, so I'm going to need some black spray paint. So the first thing you need to figure out is how big you want it. Okay, so whatever the biggest stove is that you're going to put on this thing is where you need to get your measurement. Okay, so my biggest stove that I plan on putting on it is my griddle. I'm going to take the lid off of it, sitting here. I've got a Blackstone griddle that I'm going to put on it. So I need to know how big that is. Okay. So best thing to do, if you don't want to use a tape measure, you can just set your product up here. But a lot of times, I normally wouldn't have set that up there. I would have measured it out. But I wanted to show you. This is going to be the biggest stove that I'm going to use. So what I want this to be long enough that I can reach over with this stove on here and adjust these legs if I want to. But common sense tells me I'm going to adjust it before I ever set the stove on there. But if you have to make a minor adjustment, have enough room that your fingers can reach down there and take care of it. So let's see on this eye bolt here how much room I want. I'm going to turn that eye bolt upside down and get me a measurement. So I'm going to say I want it 2 inches. I want 2 inches on each side. Okay. So that means I'm going to add 4 inches to whatever the width of the stove is. This one out here is 22 inches. So that means I've got to have 26-inch piece of metal because I need 2 inches on each side. Another thing is going to determine is the width, obviously. Now, this right here, I'm not going to cut it down as far as how wide this is, because I'm going to determine that with where I put my legs. So whatever I'm going to mount this to, like my shelving, I believe I've got 16 inches. Let's take that back. I got basically, let me see. I thought it was 16, but something's telling me it's not. I'm trying to get a. Okay, I got 17 inches. Plus, it'll push back a little bit. So I'm going to say I've got 18 inches. So that means that my legs, if I've got 18 inches, that means, which is basically, let's just say I got this 20 here. It's actually 19. So that works out perfectly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from the width of whatever it is. I'm going to come in a couple of inches on each side of this, so that when I set it up there, my legs is going to be on the platform that I'm sitting on, whether it's a table, whether it's my shelving unit there. Now, if you're going to have something like a table you're setting it on, and it's going to be much wider than this, that's not really going to be an option. I mean, a obstacle. But since I'm trying to get it to set on a shelf that I've got on the side of my schoolie, I need to bring my legs in so that they're at least 2 inches in from the edge of my shelf. So what I'm going to do, this is 19 and that's 18. So what I'm basically going to do is I'm going to come in probably on the back side, because a lot of times I've got room past my shelf. I've got another ½ inch or so. I think I'm going to come in on mine. I think I'm going to come in 4 inches on each side. So I think I'm going to come in 4 inches on each side is what I'm going to do. You don't want to come in too much on the front, because if you press down, you don't want everything to flip off. So on the way I'm building mine, because of my measurements and stuff, and if most likely, unless you've got something like I've got sitting here, these measurements are probably going to work for you too. Okay, but on mine, I'm going to come in 4 inches, so that when this sets down here, I'm going to have plenty of support. You don't want to bring them all the way out at the edge, because then your platform sometimes will bow. And the reason I picked this particular piece of metal is because it's got this fold right here, which when this is turned over, that's going to add more strength. And then most likely what I'm going to do is add me a piece of material, or I could cut that a little bit longer and then cut the piece off here and bend that back. But most likely what I'll do is I'll just add something to fill that in versus going through all that, because I don't have a metal bender. I could take a pair of welding tongs and I could bend it if I wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to. Okay, so then I've got 22 inches and I need this cut down to 26 inches. So let's set this out of the way. All right, guys, remember, anytime you're going to start using your power tools and stuff, remember to put your safety glasses on. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to get my measurement here, and to do that, I'm going to flip that metal over, and I'm going to cut this end off, not the one that's got the bend in it. Now, the piece of metal you have may not have that, but if you'll check with people around you that's in the heat and air business, I guarantee you they've got a bunch of these old panels laying around. So I'm going to mark 26 inches. All right, and 26 inches. Now, there's several ways that I could have done that. And I'm going to use this straight edge, but when I was working all the time, I would simply just make that one 26-inch mark, bring my finger right here, and I just run that right down through there, and that would give me my cutting line. But we're going to do it this way because most people are going to use a straight edge, so that's what we're going to do. I'm going to take and cut that piece off there. Okay. All right, I'm gonna set this down here. Let's see the best way it's gonna be. I think I'll turn it this way here so you guys can see. And we're gonna cut that off. These are prescription glasses too, so I'm gonna put these on. Don't I look cute in these things? I'm gonna set these glasses over here so sparks don't hit them. All right, so I'm gonna take my angle grinder and I'm gonna cut that off. Now these angle grinders have usually got a safety guard on them. Don't take them off. Even though I did, don't take them off because if that was to break or something, it could hurt you. So uh, don't take it off. Even though I did, don't do it. All right. So if anybody asks, I told you do not take that off there. All right. I want to see if these stickers are going to come off very easy. Should. If they don't, that's okay. They don't come off. But I'll bet you most of it comes off. Probably should have already done that part of it. Not that big a deal. If I didn't want that to come off, it'd come right off. Guarantee you. It would come off. All right. Well, you can pretty yours up, and I'll probably end up peeling that off too, but for time's sake, we're going to leave it alone. Okay, now then, remember what we said. We're going to come in 4 inches. So I'm going to come in here. Okay, I said I needed 2 inches on each side of this. Right? Let's put that back up there to make sure that I'm not making a boo-boo on this. Make sure that I'm not making a boo-boo right here. Okay. Let's see what we got here. We basically got 2 inches right there. And I've got 2 inches right there. Alright. So I want to come in 4 inches. Right here. So I'm going to put it right here. And I'm going to come in 1 inch. I'm going to divide that up. There's 1 inch. Alright, so that's perfect right there. We're going to do that all the way around this thing. Alrighty. Okay. So I'm going to come up 4 inches. And then I'm going to come in 1 inch. So right there. So right there. Remember, we left 2 inches on each side. All right, we're going to come up 4 inches, and we're going to come over an inch. Right there. And we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to come up 4. Oh, we already did it. Did I miss one? I got that one, 2. Oh, here. Here I am. I jumped my gun, didn't I? Come over 1 inch and up 4 inches. Come over 1 inch and up 4 inches. So right there. All right, that tells me where I want to drill the holes. So I'm going to set this down out of the way. Set this over here, set that there. Get my drill here. And I'm going to drill me these 4 holes. Make sure that's the right size. Bingo. Turn it around, do the next one. All right. We'll spin it around, we'll do the next one. Alright, and then the final hole. Alright, now we got all our holes done here. Okay, now we're going to install our legs. So what we're going to do, now we have 2 wing nuts on each one of them. One wing nut's going to face this way, and the other one's going to face that way. Okay. We're going to drop a washer on the top side, and we're going to stick that down in here, just like that right there. And then we're going to put a washer on the bottom side, and then we're going to turn the wing nut facing this way. Now, obviously, after I use this a couple of times, I'm going to decide just how much leg length I actually need on these. Right now, I'm going to leave them full length, and after a few tries, we're going to decide, hey, do I need to cut these down? Am I ever going to need one sticking up that far? So right now, we're going to leave it just like that, okay? So we're going to repeat that 3 more times. We've got our eye bolt. We've got the wing nut turned upward. We're going to put our washer on there. Stick it through there. We're going to add another washer on the bottom. Then we're going to turn the wing nut upside down. That washer there was a little bit too small, it looks like. All right, now we'll put that wing nut on the bottom here. All right. And we're going to do it again. I just learned to do a little bit of, learn to do a little bit of work with your hands. Teach yourself, if nothing else. With this YouTube stuff nowadays, guys, you can build anything you want. You don't have to go out and spend something like this. I don't know. They probably want $40, $50 for it if you went and bought one. You know, because they're going to put some fancy name on it, and they're going to sell it to you. Guess I could have looked up, see what one of these would cost me if I tried to buy one. All right, one more to go. Yeah, we're just about home free on this. And if this doesn't turn out to be thick enough for me, I mean, if it tries to bow a little bit, I'll just get me a piece of half-inch plywood and I'll put it on the underneath it. But I want it to be metal, so I don't have to worry about a fire or anything like that. So that's the reason I want to go with a piece of metal. All right. And that's what it should look like, just like that right there, guys. See that? Okay, now, something I don't have yet, and I'm going to take time and look for it. I'm not going to go buy it because I'm going to come up with an idea. Whether I heat a piece of PVC and put on there, but I'm going to make me some little flat platforms for this. Or I may just simply take a nut and a washer and just tack weld on there. But I'd rather have some type of little rubber, something that won't slide around when I put it down on something. So, and I'll bet you I've got something like that. Because I really don't want these sharp edges all the time. So in the next little while I'm out working and stuff, in my shop and stuff, somewhere I'm going to have some little feet, kind of like, you know, if I could like drawer pulls, those round drawer knob pulls, stuff like that, something like that, but it's going to have to be 5/8. But something like that's what I'd like to find. And I'll bet you in all my stuff, I've got some. But boy, wouldn't that be perfect? Some of those doorknob pulls that you just kind of screw on. Wouldn't that be perfect? That's similar to what that's what I'm going to put on, something like that. But I can make my own if I have to. I'll just get some plastic and heat my bolt, press it down on there, and it'll screw on, screw off just like one of those do. All right, now then, we got our platform made. That's all there is to it. Now then, we want to level it. All we do is like this end right here needs to go down. You just simply screw that down until it starts leveling up. That don't look like it's very level. Once you get it to the height you want, you should. So I got a little level right here. All right. So let's try to get it as close to you as we can. I don't know if you can see that little bubble there. It's saying that this side here needs to come up about that much. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bring this one up a little bit. And then I'm going to reach under the bottom. And I'm going to hold that one. And I'm going to screw that right down a little bit. Then I'm going to tighten that back up. Now let's see what it says. It says I got it just a little bit too high, so I want to go the other way. Oops, I want to go the other way. Let me hold this one. I'm making this harder than what it should be. Okay. I'm holding that bottom nut and I'm turning this and it's raising it up. It's just about level right there if I'll quit moving it. Then I'm just going to simply tighten this about down. We'll tighten that back down. Now I've got this way up. Every bit of this is going to drop back down. I'm just going the quickest way to do it now. Now you're going to want it to level this way. So you're going to do the exact same thing. So we're not going to work with this one. We're going to work with this one. This one says it's got to go down. So we're going to loosen this and we're going to turn it downward so that goes down. All right. All right. That right there is perfect. Now I'm going to tighten that up. We're going to try the same thing over here. Actually, I can go with this route here and it'll tell me what I need to do here. So we're going to loosen that. All right, so that's got to come up. So I'm going to turn that up. Just like that right there. And guys, that looks perfect right there. And that should be perfect. This should be perfect. And this should be perfect. Now then I've got a level table to work on. Now obviously you're not going to jack this all the way up here. I'm going to take this as low all the way to the floor and then I'll start out at my highest point. Say I'm up on this end. So I'm going to drop this as far down on the high point as I can get, and then I'm going to bring the low ends up. So drop the one that's high, whatever end's high. If you're high, say you're like this right here, you're going to drop this all the way down. And then you're going to adjust this up this way. So you don't have to adjust these because you got it dropped all the way down, and you're going to bring these up. Or if you're a little bit this way, same way. This is your high end, so you're not going to adjust those. You're going to adjust these two, and it's going to bring you back up like this. And like I said, after I've used this for a little bit, I may decide I want more strength, but I'm trying to make it as light as I can make it, guys. Anything that you put in your vehicle, you want to try to make light. Turn all those same directions, because whenever you're working, try to end up with them run this way, and that way you got more room in here. You see what I'm saying? If you need to do something. But I think this is going to answer our question. And like I said, I may end up putting a piece of plywood under there. So all I have to do now is spray paint this thing. And I'm going to spray paint it black. You can spray paint yours any color you want it. But this right here now, all right guys, I went ahead and painted it. And I've put it up under my stove here, okay? Again, I'm putting it on using this stove because I'm not using my griddle right now. This is what we've been cooking on, so that's what we're going to use. So, I basically got it before I ever put it down, I mean, I knew I didn't need this thing 2 or 3 inches up in the air, so I lowered everything back down. And now we're going to check the level and go from there, okay? First of all, I want to see how the level is this way. So I could set that up on that stove. Wouldn't hurt if I did, but actually I'm going to set it down here. And it shows me that this thing here needs to come up on this end here just a smidgen. So I'm just going to reach under here and I'm going to grab hold of that with my fingers, that wing nut. And then I'm going to twist this 2 turns. Then I'm going to tighten this back down. All right. It says I need about another turn. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to loosen the top one and I'm going to turn it 2 turns. Then I'm going to tighten this back up. And that says dead on it. So it's perfectly level this way. Okay. Now then, I want to check it this way. So I'm going to go to the end of it here, and it says that the back is too high. So I need to lower the back. All right. So we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do the exact same thing in the back. But this time we need to, it says that I'm too high, so I need to lower it. So I'm going to, I'm going to let it down. I'm going to hold on that bottom, and I'm just going to, and you can look, you can watch your level. And it ought to tell you how much is dropping. All right, right there it says I'm perfect. So what am I going to do? I'm going to tighten that top nut back up real tight against that. Right now it says I'm perfect this way and I'm perfect that way. Now we're going to go to the other end and do the exact same thing this way. Now I said you can do all this before you ever set your stove on there, okay? So I'm going to look at this back here and see what it looked like here. This one here is not too far off. Matter of fact, it's close enough that I don't even want to do anything to it. I mean, it's perfect. That's still perfect. And that's still perfect. So now that when we go to cook, everything's level. I mean, it's in other words, the bubble is between the lines. Yeah, that bubble. That bubble's between the lines like that to me, she's perfectly level. And so we're ready to cook on this thing. It's going to make life so much easier instead of me trying to constantly back up on something and try to get this thing level, perfectly level, so I can cook. Because a lot of times when I'm cooking, my grease either wants to run. You'll see me do like this on the grease sometimes, and that's because my stove ain't level. So I think that this is going to work for me. Didn't cost one. Well, I had to go buy the wing nuts. I couldn't find them, and I've got some, but I couldn't find them, and I wanted this project done, so I went ahead and spent the $2 and got them. Okay, but everything else was just junk. You know, I already had. I'd taken these off of another project back a few months ago, and I just laid them up and knowing somewhere. Hey, that's another thing. You see old furniture and stuff like that laying around, guys. If you got a way to hold on to this stuff on side roads, take all the knobs. Take all the knobs off of it. Take everything off of it that you think you can use. You don't got to take the whole piece. There's a lot of times I'll see something laying there that's got some nice bolts on it. I carry my drill gun with me with my sockets and things like that. I'll walk out there, screw gun, and I'll walk out there and I'll take all that stuff off and lay it right back down underneath. I don't make a mess for them. And, you know, you go buy screws and bolts and stuff like that. I guarantee you these right here are probably $3 a piece now, these eye bolts. So, carry a can in the back of your vehicle and a drill gun with some sockets and screwdriver heads. And if you see something like that, stop and get that stuff, you know. But anyway, we got that little project. I told you I was going to build something. I think this is going to work for us. Guys, if you like my videos, hit like. If you want to see more of them, hit subscribe. And ring that bell so the next time one comes on, you'll know it's on there. And we'll see you down the road.